The Presbyterian preacher Robert Murray McShane was passing out evangelistic tracts on the street one day. Along came a pretty well-dressed woman, and McShane went over to her and handed her a tract explaining the gospel. The woman gave him a haughty look, and she said, "Sir, you obviously must not know who I am." Well, McShane quietly and kindly replied, "Ma'am, there's going to come a day of judgment, and on that day it ain't going to make any difference who you are." The people Paul was originally writing to, and the culture in which he was writing, placed a lot of emphasis on who you were, where you came from, and what credit or lack of credit your family name would bring to the table. In many ways, it was all about being the right person in the right family from the right tribe in Israel. Your family name carried a lot of weight in that society. It was the foundation for everything they did the rest of their life. Israel had placed all their hope and built everything upon the foundation that they were God's chosen people. And that was enough. Yet they rejected Jesus, and because of that, God opened the door of salvation to all who would believe. And in this chapter, Paul is somewhat chastising Israel in this passage. He's not just for having missed Jesus necessarily, but more so for thinking that they had an exclusive deal with God, and that no one else should be or would be let in. They were so busy looking down at the Gentiles that they forgot to look up to the God who had come to save them. Now, it's easy to read the Bible and see all the mistakes that God's people made and are making and think, wow, what a bunch of idiots, what a bunch of numbskulls. But let's not go too fast here tonight. As you get ready to go into your small group study time, let me gently ask a question. Are we really that different than Israel? Think about this for a moment. Who is that group on the outside of our faith that we assume God will never let in? Or even if we wouldn't say it, the idea of having them join us kind of disgusts us a little bit in the quiet recesses of our heart. Who's that person or that professor on campus who constantly badmouths and ridicules God and the people who follow him? Is it that guy? What about people like ISIS? Or the group on your campus or in your community that's beliefs are completely against what the Bible teaches? What about the hateful people like Westboro Baptist? What about those people? Remember that to Israel, the Gentiles were every bit as far from God or different or vile or weird as any of these groups we think of today. Yet Paul reminds us that God's salvation is for all people. All people. Who is part of all the people that you've left out? Who do you need to reach out to this week? Tonight, I really want you to share that with your group. Pray for those people and for opportunities for you to show them the love of Jesus this week.